Hi, my name's Bri. I run a behavioural science consultancy.
Hi Bri, I'm Sam. I run an accounting practice.
Oh, great. What makes your practice different from the others, Sam?
I guess it would be our client relationships. Our clients absolutely love us.
Well, that's great to hear. Oh, hi. My name's Bri. I run a behavioural science consultancy.
Hi Bri, I'm Pam. I run an accounting practice.
Oh, interesting. What makes your practice different from the others, Pam?
I guess it would be our client relationships. They absolutely love us.
Hello and welcome to Focus On, where we focus on a specific topic, business or issue for the month. This month, we're focusing on differentiation, why it's challenging, why it's important, and how to get it right. Hi, I'm behavioural engineer Bri Williams, and in this video, I'm going to share 4 of the best ways to differentiate your business. Normally, you have to be a paying member of my Just Do This program to access this content. But because differentiation is so important, I've decided to provide some ideas for free. So to hear why differentiation is so challenging, why it's important, and how to get it right, just do this. How to differentiate your business meaningfully. As my networking skit attests, too many businesses fail to differentiate themselves from their competitors, either at all or in a way that is meaningful to a prospective customer. You've probably been to networking events yourself where people think they're doing a great job at describing why their business is unique, but don't realise you've just heard someone describe something very similar to you 5 minutes ago. So, why is differentiation so difficult? It's challenging because we tend to look inside out rather than outside in. In other words, we forget to talk about what problems people are seeking to solve and instead talk about what we do and how we do it. It's the curse of knowledge, where we assume people are on our wavelength and are ready to talk about process without first establishing a shared understanding of the problem. And why is it so important to differentiate yourself? So you stand out as the best option. Failing to distinguish yourself properly means customers will use the most tangible expression of difference: price. If you want to avoid losing business to cheaper competitors, here are 5 things to do, starting with making your difference concrete. The more concrete you make a description of your business, the better. By concrete, I mean using specific words and tangible descriptions. Ideally, who gets what by when. Here's one of my favourite examples. Ads for introverts. Sell courses and get clients with Facebook ads without social media posting, webinars, or phone calls. You immediately know it's for introverts who have courses to sell and what it's about. Facebook ads. And in so doing, they've differentiated themselves from any other business who teaches you how to run Facebook ads. By saying who they are for, they've also done something smart, inferred who they're not for. You can do this too by simply saying, we're not for everybody, and deliberately so. Instead, we focus on this particular problem, or industry, or demographic. This makes you seem more exclusive and successful as a result. I mean, wow, you are so good at what you do that you can turn away other opportunities. I want to hear more. Having a product makes concreteness even easier. Look for ways to describe what's different about how your product is manufactured or distributed. What is it that only you do? What distinguishes it from cheaper knockoffs, for example? The Australian manufacturer of Barney orthopaedic dog beds did exactly that when she discovered a big retail chain was selling dupes of her product. She went to pains to explain how the cheaper bed had inferior internals, meaning pee could seep through. It had thinner material and no structural integrity, meaning it wouldn't last long. Now you can revisit Focus on Dislodging the Status Quo for more on how to differentiate your product from an alternative. But that's not all if you want to bolster concreteness. The tense you use can also help. Specifically, be sure to use present tense. For example, rather than past tense, I've worked with clients across all industries, or future tense, I'll work with clients from any industry, We're better to say, I work with clients across all industries. This works because present tense feels more immediate and, as such, even easier to imagine for the prospective customer. Speaking of timeframes, make sure you focus on sooner rather than later. A mistake our accounting friends Sam and Pam were making, aside from client relationships being too abstract, is that it has to be experienced to be believed. That is a weak proposition. Yes, your clients may love you and stay with you because of the relationship, but the problem is they have to become a client first. Instead, what you share about your business has to be something they can experience before they become a customer. For example, when I worked in and for a health retreat, they were marketing how different people would feel after their week's stay. I can tell from personal experience, a stay there could be life-altering, but it's something you need to experience before you truly believe it. It's not helpful to get people to buy because it's too distant and intangible. They instead needed to showcase the amenities and program so that people could justify what they were paying for. While testimonials can help bolster the credibility of your future-oriented promise, for example, having your existing customers speak to your customer service or product performance or outcome, testimonials can't do the heavy lifting. They reduce anxiety and improve the odds of commitment, but you need to get people engaged first. Focus on what they get straight away, not the payoff down the track. Again, for our accountants, that could mean messages like, we do the paperwork so you can do the real work. Number 3, avoid bragging. When talking about your credentials as a way to differentiate yourself, fold them in rather than separate them out, because bragging can be a big turnoff. What do I mean by folding in? Let's say I'm talking about some of my qualifications. Instead of, Bri Williams is a behavioural specialist, full stop. Bri holds degrees in finance and psychology and is a member of the Institute of Learning Professionals, I'm better to write, Bri Williams is a behavioural specialist who holds degrees in finance and psychology and is a member of the Institute of Learning Professionals. What's the difference? According to Professor Lisa Leopold, who analysed transcripts from the Brookings Institute to work out how presenters established credibility, folding it in means we avoid sounding arrogant by not featuring our expertise in a separate sentence, an important point for those who wish to build credibility but not sound pretentious. Number 4, use contrast to distinguish yourself. In the video on displacing the status quo, I talk a lot about comparing your product to the incumbent. We can use a similar approach here by first acknowledging the status quo, the norm, and then moving to how you think or act differently. For example, if we think back to Sam and Pam from our accounting firms, they could say something like, you know how most accounting practices talk about how great their client relationships are? Yes, well, that's true for us too, but what makes us really different is our approach to tax. Or similarly, what makes us different? Well, most accounting practices work with their clients once a year in a transactional way. We see it slightly differently. That's because by the time the tax year finishes, it's really difficult to get the best outcome for you. But what about scenarios where you're not talking with your prospective customer? I've been amused to see many businesses are spruiking their use of AI recently. Thing is, the sophistication of that AI can vary wildly. This was true for behavioural economics too a few years ago. Seemingly every consulting firm and ad agency was boasting knowledge and use of nudge theory, yet most had only a rudimentary grasp of its intricacies. So, fair to say, I've been down the differentiation path. The technique that works best for me? Drawing. Literally drawing the landscape in which you are competing and then pointing out how you are different is a brilliant way to crystallise your difference. For behavioural science, for example, I use my customer insights landscape model. I first talk about how many businesses rely on self-reported behaviour. In other words, what people tell us they want, but this can be misleading and costly due to the say versus do gap. I then describe how data is great. By data, I mean click data, scan data, the number of inbound calls, but it's not necessarily predictive of what people will do in response to a new campaign or an email or a new product. So if we want clues about what people will do in the future based on observed rather than self-reported behaviour, we can use behavioural economics. By pointing to the missing quadrant, something they are not currently investing in, I can distinguish both the need for behavioural science in their business as well as the clarity of my thinking and unique approach to the field. As I've shown you, quadrant models can be useful here because you can tease out two axes and point to a gap in what they are using. This makes use of completion bias, which I've mentioned elsewhere in Just Do This. That's our innate desire to fill missing gaps. Having it pointed out that they have covered only 3 out of 4 bases will encourage them to want to complete the rest. A tip: make sure the gap you fill is in the top right quadrant because right means progress and top signals growth. But does your visual need to be a quadrant? No. Just make sure your drawing makes it very clear that there's a missing piece to their puzzle, which explains why they are in the market looking for answers and how only you can provide them. That is the 4th of 5 techniques to use to differentiate your business. There's a 5th, which I reveal exclusively to members of my Just Do This membership program. In Just Do This, I tell you exactly what to do to improve your results using behavioural science, from what to say to a customer and designing your website to motivating yourself and your team. Find out more at briwilliams.com.